paid just 20 to sabotage a date, she unexpectedly discovered a life-changing love with the CEO. Emma wiped the last remnants of whipped cream off the counter, her heart racing. $20 for a simple act of sabotage? It seemed harmless enough, a fleeting way to stash away a little cash. A glance at the families gathered outside the diner stirred her pride. This community thrived on hard work and integrity. But the web of bills and dreams tangled in her mind gnawed at her. Her heart tugged one way, her empty wallet the other. The summer barbecue glow faded into dusk, laughter cascading against the backdrop of sizzling burgers. Emma inhaled the fragrant air, memories of her childhood weaving through her mind like a song. Family was everything here, and hard work was their mantra. As much as she loved the diner, the weight of dreams unfulfilled felt heavier than her apron on a busy weekend. But today was different. She had an opportunity, a way to make quick cash that could at least buy her rent a few days later. Only $20, she thought, biting her lip and staring out the window as a sleek black car pulled up. A stark contrast to the simple American life she'd always known. Emma glanced back at the patrons' happy families enjoying their meals, lives entwined in friendship and community. She glanced out to see Scott, the sophisticated CEO of a tech firm, step out of the car. His tailored suit felt like an alien presence amidst the Sunday best of the local barbecue crowd. She had heard whispers of his philanthropic endeavors, but all she felt was the cold disconnect of wealth. She was supposed to meet him later at a charity event. The plan in her head twisted, a gentle push, and the date would fizzle. Simple, right? Yet, as she stepped into the vibrant heart of the community that evening, uncertainty began to blossom. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The event buzzed with warmth and good spirits. Emma felt the love from her community wrap around her like a warm hug as she interacted with friends and neighbors. But her thoughts lingered on Scott. Just as she spotted him at the edge of the garden, he turned, and their eyes met. "Emma, right?" he said, charm radiating from him like sunbeams. They talked, and their differences melted like ice cream on a hot day. He shared tales of his childhood, how he'd been given everything yet sought meaning in giving back. In that moment, Emma found herself drawn to his sincerity. What was once cold and unapproachable felt warm and inviting, and her heart skipped a beat. Doubt itched at the back of her mind, but the connection was magnetic, igniting feelings she didn't know she longed for. Yet, could they bridge the chasm between their worlds? The radiance of the night swelled around them, but lurking beneath was the question that clawed at Emma's insides: could she accept him, or were their lives too different to intertwine? As the summer warmth faded and shadows deepened, Emma stood at a crossroads. Love beckoned, but family ties and societal expectations loomed ominously behind her. Could she dare to step into a life that challenged everything she believed? A flutter of uncertainty coursed through her. Was it time to let go of her fears and embrace the unknown? As the evening wore on, the laughter and chatter of the crowd blended into a sweet symphony. Emma stood beside Scott, feeling both enchanted and bewildered. The way he spoke about giving back, about making a difference, made her heart swell. It was easy to forget the $20. Easy to dismiss her initial plan, the reasons driving her to sabotage the date. "Do you want to grab a drink?" Scott asked, his eyes sparkling under the fairy lights strung across the garden. Emma hesitated, her pulse quickening. She imagined declining, retreating back into the safe confines of her small-town existence, but the allure of what could be tugged at her soul. "Sure," she replied, a smile breaking across her face. As they made their way to the bar, her mind whirled. What was she doing? The weight of her decision bore down on her. She started to think maybe this was worth more than mere cash. Maybe this was what she had yearned for: connection, adventure, and a chance to break free. Scott leaned against the bar, ordering a couple of drinks. He turned to her and said, You're different from what I expected. His tone was curious, inviting. I always get the same questions at these events who I know, where I'm from. But it feels refreshing. Oh, Emma shrugged, trying to keep her voice light. Not everyone's into the city life or knows how to play the game. He chuckled softly. True. But what do you want, Emma? What does your heart tell you? That simple question struck her like a lightning bolt. She had never dared to ask herself that, always too busy fulfilling roles for others' daughter, waitress, friend. Now, as Scott awaited her response, she felt bare, exposed. I want something real, she murmured, unsure if she was speaking to him or to herself. The truth sensed her vulnerability and slithered out. There's something about this place. The people. I've always wanted to be part of something bigger than myself. He leaned in, his gaze unwavering. Then let us create something bigger together. For a moment, the noise of the event faded away. It was just the two of them, two souls intertwined momentarily under a starry sky. But then, the reality of the sacrifice she might have to make crashed in like a wave. Would he understand that embracing a new path could mean leaving her comfort zone far behind? Emma's heart flipped in her chest. The irony was brutal. She was meant to create havoc, but instead, she found herself hoping for opportunity, for love. Could she betray the roots her family had planted for her? The very roots she had taken for granted until now? The sound of applause erupted, pulling her from her thoughts. They turned to see a local band starting to play. The vibe shifted, everyone laughing and dancing. Scott took her hand, pulling her toward the makeshift dance floor, urging her to let go and be spontaneous. As they swayed to the beat, she felt alive, a whirl of colors and warmth pulsing through her veins. But beneath the exhilaration, doubt crept in. What would happen when the night was over? When they had to return to their separate lives? And what about the plan she had set in motion? What if that $20 blossomed into a life-altering decision? Just as she opened her mouth to ask him about the future, a scream pierced through the festivities. A crowd parted to reveal a scene unfolding, the unmistakable silhouette of someone who had been observing them. Emma's stomach knotted. It was the one person she never expected to see. What did they want, and how would it change everything? Emma's heart raced as her eyes locked onto the figure that had emerged from the crowd. The familiar silhouette came closer, and each step felt like a freight train approaching at full speed. It was Ryan, her high school ex, the one who had left her with a bruised heart and unanswered questions. His presence sliced through the joy of the evening like shards of glass. What is he doing here? She whispered to herself, a wave of mixed emotions crashing over her. Scott noticed her change in demeanor and turned, concern etched across his face. Do you know him? He asked, his voice low but steady. Yeah, he's my ex, Emma managed to say, feeling the warmth of the moment fade into a tense chill. She searched Scott's gaze for understanding, but his expression was a whirlwind of curiosity and concern. Ryan stepped forward, a charming yet unsettling grin plastered on his face. Emma. Long time no see, he called out, his voice oozing with feigned enthusiasm. Ryan, she replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She could feel the energy of the crowd around them, but all she wanted was to retreat into the safety of Scott's side. At that moment, he felt like an anchor, keeping her grounded amidst the chaos. I didn't know you'd be at this event, Ryan continued, clearly eager to engage. Looks like you've moved up in the world. How is life treating you? It's going well, she stammered, feeling the weight of her past creeping back in. Beneath her calm exterior, a storm brewed. Ryan's reappearance threatened everything she had begun to feel with Scott, everything she had started to hope for. Scott stepped in, placing a protective arm around her shoulders. We were just enjoying the evening, he said firmly, not backing down. That simple gesture made Emma's heart flutter, feeling shielded. You don't need to hide behind him, Emma, Ryan said, his voice dripping with condescension. We both know you haven't changed much since high school. Remember all those times? Get lost, Ryan. Emma cut him off, her voice sharper than she intended. But there was a fire in her spirit now, ignited by Scott's support. She wasn't going to let this man rewrite her story. Ryan's smile faltered just for a second. Fine, but don't think you can just pretend I'm not here. We have history, Emma. His words hung in the air, a reminder of everything she tried to leave behind. The whispers of encouragement from those nearby faded into a dull murmur, and she felt exposed, a spotlight focused solely on her. Scott's grip tightened, and Emma caught a glimpse of his fury, barely contained. He was a stranger, yet in that moment, he felt like a steadfast ally. History doesn't define where we're going, Scott said evenly, meeting Ryan's eyes with unwavering confidence. Emma's breath caught in her throat. She realized then that she had the power to choose her own story. And standing next to her was a man who didn't just see her past. He seemed to see potential, a future. As Ryan turned to leave with a frustrated huff, Emma turned to Scott, their eyes meeting in a mix of relief and uncertainty. But there was something deeper, a spark ignited by shared confrontation that stirred an urge for honesty and connection. "Thank you," she breathed, the weight of the moment drifting away as she leaned closer to Scott. "I didn't know how to handle that." "Just speak your truth," he replied softly, and the world around dimmed, leaving just the two of them in focus. But as the night deepened, Emma couldn't shake off the lingering shadow of Ryan's presence. Had she truly moved on? Would this newfound connection with Scott survive the inevitable storms her past threatened to unleash? As the band played on, the beat pulsing beneath her feet, she felt the thrill of possibility, and yet the lingering question hung heavy. Could she truly embrace a future filled with hope, or would her past return to haunt her just as she had begun to break free? Emma tried to shake off Ryan's shadow as the music swelled around them, but his presence remained palpable, a weight on her shoulders that threatened to sink her back into uncertainty. She leaned into Scott, desperate to feel grounded, to find that connection they had ignited just moments ago. The laughter swirled around her, the bright lights twinkling like stars, but her mind was racing through memories of heartbreak and betrayal. Scott's hand on her arm brought her back to the present. "Let's get some fresh air," he suggested, his tone gentle but firm. Without waiting for her response, he guided her through the crowd. As they stepped outside, the cool night air washed over her like a breath of life. "Better?" he asked, his eyes searching hers. "It helps," Emma admitted, breathing deeply. The chill in the air contrasted sharply with the heat of the encounter they had just escaped. Scott shifted closer, the city lights reflecting in his dark eyes. "I can't believe he had the nerve to show up. You shouldn't have to face that." She smiled. "I didn't expect you to have my back so fiercely." "It felt good." "Of course I would." "You deserve to be treated with respect," he said, a hint of protectiveness in his voice. "You're not that girl anymore, Emma." His words hit her like a sudden jolt, illuminating the dark corners of her insecurities. "You really think I've changed?" "I know you have," he replied earnestly. "I see a strong woman who's ready to face her past, not run from it." Feeling emboldened, Emma leaned in closer, allowing herself to enjoy the moment. "You really believe that?" she asked, a spark of hope fluttering in her chest. "I do," he responded. The warmth of his breath brushed against her cheek, enveloping her in a fog of comforting possibility. Just then, the door swung open, pulling them back to reality. A group of friends emerged, laughing and joking, breaking apart the intimate bubble they had created. Emma's smile faltered momentarily, her heart dropping as she saw Ryan slip out behind them. "Emma," he called, but this time, he was drowned out by the laughter of others. She could feel the tension in Scott's posture, a protective aura urging her to embrace this new chapter. "Let's rejoin," Scott said, his hand still firm on her back, guiding her back into the lively atmosphere. There was a small part of Emma that yearned to confront Ryan again, to stand up for herself one more time. But now she felt something else. There was safety in Scott's presence. As they re-entered the thrumming crowd, Emma felt like she was floating, free from the past, but tethered to someone who saw her for who she was now. They exchanged light-hearted banter, laughter punctuating their conversation, and for the first time in a while, she felt genuinely at ease. But when she caught a glimpse of Ryan chatting with some familiar faces, the knot in her stomach tightened again. The past wasn't willing to let her go just yet. "Hey, are you okay?" Scott asked gently, noticing her momentary unease. "I'm fine," she quickly replied, but the unease lingered. "Let us do something fun," he said, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "How about we hit the dance floor?" Emma hesitated, her heart pounding not just from the lingering presence of Ryan, but at the thought of dancing. Yet, she could feel the excitement bubbling inside her, stirred by both Scott's charm and the rhythm of the music. "Okay," she said, a smile breaking through. As they maneuvered onto the dance floor, Emma surrendered to the moment, letting music pulse through her body. Maybe it was time to let go of what had been and embrace the now. But in the corner of her eye, she saw Ryan watching them, a smug smile on his lips. The doubt crept in again. Was she really ready to dive into this new chapter? Or would Ryan find a way back into her life, dragging her back into the chaos she had fought so hard to escape? Just as those questions swirled, the dance floor turned into a whirlwind around them, and Scott pulled her closer. "Just be here, Emma," he urged, his voice a calm reassurance over the thumping music. And yet, she couldn't help but wonder, could this newfound love survive the storms of her past, or was it all just a fleeting moment, beautiful but fragile? As the music enveloped them, Emma felt Scott's grip tighten around her waist. Their bodies moved to the beat, surrounded by the twirling colors and voices of the crowd. It was chaotic and beautifully alive, but Ryan was still there at the edge of her vision, an unwelcome reminder of her past. "Focus on me," Scott said softly, leaning in close. His eyes were warm, reassuring. "Just enjoy this." She tried to, really she did. The way Scott moved, his energy contagious, made her laugh, and for a moment, the world outside faded away. But every time she lost herself in the rhythm, she caught sight of Ryan again, laughing with his friends, his presence a dark cloud looming over her. "Why don't we grab a drink?" she suggested, wanting to escape the dance floor and its swirling reminders. "Good idea," Scott replied, and as they made their way through the crowd, her heartbeat thundered in her ears. In that moment, the distant thrum of the music and the joyous laughter felt like a world she couldn't quite touch. They reached the bar, and Scott ordered a couple of drinks, his smile lighting up the dimly lit space. Emma felt herself leaning into him, the warmth of his laughter slowly peeling away some of her anxiety. "Here you go," he said as he handed her a drink, his fingers brushing hers. "Thanks," she said, looking up at him. There was a spark, a connection that felt fresh and electric. For a fleeting moment, she allowed herself to imagine building something real with him, something that transcended the ghosts of her past. "You're an amazing dancer," he complimented, leaning closer so she could hear him over the music. "Thanks." It felt freeing, she admitted, her smile deepening. "But also terrifying when you're worried if anyone is watching." His expression shifted slightly, a seriousness creeping in. "Forget about him, Emma. He's not relevant anymore. What matters is you and this." Just as she was about to respond, a raucous cheer erupted nearby, followed by laughter. Emma turned instinctively, her stomach sinking again as she saw Ryan making his way toward them, flanked by a couple of his friends. "Emma," Ryan called. His voice was confident, a crooner-esque smoothness that she once found charming. "Scott, let us go," she whispered urgently, her pulse racing. But Scott didn't move. Instead, he squared his shoulders, extending one arm protectively in front of her. "Just stay behind me, okay?" Emma felt a mix of fear and admiration. In this moment, she could see him ready to stand firm against whatever Ryan threw their way. But deep inside, a familiar pit of dread churned. She didn't want any confrontation, not tonight. "What's the matter, Emma?" Ryan smirked, his eyes dancing between her and Scott. "You had enough fun already? Or do you need someone else to give you some rhythm?" Hurt washed over her like ice water. The jibes carried the weight of old wounds, echoing too closely to the past she was trying to shake off. "Leave her alone, Ryan," Scott interjected, his voice steady. Emma could see the determination in his stance, and it filled her with both admiration and dread. She squeezed Scott's arm, catching his attention. "Let us just go. Please. Why run?" Ryan shouted, his taunt following them like a shadow, one that could not be simply brushed away. Emma felt the tears prickling her eyes, and anger rising within her that she hadn't felt in a long time. "I'm done with you, Ryan," she shouted back, surprising herself. The words tasted like freedom. Scott turned to her, a mixture of pride and worry in his gaze. "You okay?" Emma nodded. The surge of adrenaline had momentarily silenced her fears. "Let us dance," she said, taking a step forward without waiting for an answer. Scott fell in step beside her as they returned to the dance floor, the music pulling her into its embrace. Each beat seemed like a promise, something to look forward to. She and Scott moved together, their connection pulsing like the bass around them. But as she stole a glance over her shoulder, she saw Ryan standing there, still watching. The question loomed large: could she keep this newfound strength, or would the weight of her past drag her back down? And just like that, she felt the first drop of uncertainty seep back in. Would tonight change everything or drag her down again? Little did she know, the night was just beginning, and the choices ahead would be harder than she anticipated. The bass thumped in rhythm beneath Emma's feet as she lost herself in the music again, the chaos and delight of the dance floor wrapping around her like a warm blanket. The crowd swayed, absorbed in the beats that felt like heartbeats echoing through the air. And for a moment, she felt invincible, buoyed by the glare of colored lights and Scott's presence at her side. But as she twirled, Ryan's dark silhouette still flickered at the edge of her vision, a haunting shadow that had been her reality for too long. The tension in her muscles reminded her that freedom was not without its challenges. "Dance like nobody else watching," Scott said, spinning her around until their faces were just inches apart. His eyes sparkled with encouragement. "Just you and me in this moment." "Right," she laughed, the sound nervous but genuine. She wanted to let go, to completely embrace what was happening. And then, she felt it a tug at her heart, a yearning for something different, something more than this fleeting joy. Wouldn't it be nice to experience a love that felt different from the past? Scott reached out, taking her hand. The warmth of his palm ignited a spark. They drifted through the crowd, bodies melting together with the flow of the music. She was aware of everything around them, the swirling lights, the laughter, and fabric brushing against skin, but nothing seemed to matter but him and her. With every beat, she felt lighter, as if each step was leaving behind a piece of the girl who was still tangled up in her past. But just as she began to forget, Ryan's voice cut through the atmosphere, sharper than any beat. "Emma, come on. Don't pretend you're happy with him." His grin was wide, confidence spilling out of him like a cheap cologne. Emma froze, caught between the urge to keep dancing and the need to confront that voice from the past. Scott's grip tightened around her waist, as if sensing her hesitation. "Don't let him get to you," Scott whispered, his brow furrowing slightly. A deep breath filled Emma's lungs, the taste of courage rising in her chest. "I'm happy, Ryan. This is my choice." "Choice?" he scoffed. "Looks like you're just following his lead." "Looks can be deceiving," she shot back, feeling her heart race. "I'm not yours to control anymore." Ryan's smirk faded, an expression of disbelief crossing his face. There was power in that moment, a feeling of shedding old skin. She could feel Scott next to her, solid and firm, his gaze unwavering. "See, this is what happens, Emma," Ryan said, frustration creeping into his voice. "You give up everything for a guy who's probably going to disappoint you like the others." Emma turned fully to face him, every firm step grounding her. "I'm deciding my own path, Ryan. This isn't about anyone else but me." The crowd seemed to hush, the glances from strangers accentuating her words. Their breaths mingled in the charged air. For the first time, she felt a rush of freedom, a willingness to fend off past shadows. "Let us go," she breathed to Scott, who nodded, a small smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. They turned away from Ryan, his insults dwindling into the chaos behind them. As they danced again, laughter erupting, Emma felt every ounce of stress fade away, give way to the newness blooming between them. Scott's eyes sparkled with admiration, and each time their bodies connected, it felt like a promise that something real was taking root. But as she moved, the creeping doubts returned. Could she truly leave Ryan behind, or would he always linger beneath the surface? And then, in the middle of her exhilarating escape, something else struck her. A thought so sudden and profound it almost knocked the breath out of her. Could she actually trust Scott with all of this? Would he be able to handle her baggage, or would this new feeling come with its own complications? As her heart raced with the thrill of the dance, deeper questions tangled within. Was she truly ready for something genuine, or was she still too much of a mess? With each beat of the music, the answers felt both closer and farther away. Emma knew only one thing: there was no turning back now. But the night was far from over, and as excitement danced in her chest, she wondered just how far she could push the boundaries without losing what she had finally begun to cherish. The complexities of the evening unfolded as uncertainty weaved through her mind. What would the next beat bring? The energy pulsed around them, driving Emma further into the moment, but as the music shifted into a deeper bass line, doubts began to claw at her heart. She danced with reckless abandon, but her mind wandered, flashing back to Ryan's sneer and the familiar weight of his words. What if he asks right? What if Scott disappoints me? Scott pulled her close, his warm breath a whisper against her ear, pulling her back from the edge of her thoughts. You okay? He asked, scanning her face with genuine concern. You seem a bit somewhere else. Emma smiled, trying to mask the worry that was beginning to crystallize. Yeah, I'm good. Just thinking. About what? There was a softness in his voice, urging her to open up, but the words tangled on her tongue. Just the past. He nodded, understanding flickering across his features. It can't be easy. But you're here now, right? Let us not give anyone else the power to ruin our night. It was a gentle challenge, and she found her spirits lifting again, a sense of resilience blossoming. They shared laughter and achieved a rhythm that felt like magic, like they were dancing between the lines of a story that was just beginning. But the deeper the rhythm went, the louder the echoes of her past grew, nagging insistently. Ryan's face appeared unbidden in her mind's eye, taunting and cast in shadows. Would he always be able to find her, no matter how far she tried to dance away? Emma, can I ask you something? Scott's voice slipped through her haze, his expression serious now. What are you really looking for? What are you hoping to find? Her breath caught. It was a question she didn't know how to answer. Was she looking for freedom? Strength? Trust? Love? The truth was, she was scared of what love could mean. I don't know, she finally replied, her voice soft. I think I want all of those things, but I'm not sure how to find them. Scott's grip on her tightened a little. You gotta take a leap of faith sometimes. You can't let the past define you. You can't let it steal your future. His words resonated through the music, striking a deep chord within her. She nodded, feeling the weight of his encouragement settle inside her. As they flared into another twirl, the colors of the club whirled around them, a kaleidoscope of innocence mingling with complexity. Each laugh, each beat was a reminder of the new feelings rising up inside her. But just as she began to feel invincible once more, she spotted Ryan across the floor. He was staring straight at her, his eyes icy and calculating. Her heart raced. Scott, I think he's watching, she whispered, panic tinging her voice. Scott turned just as Ryan took a step forward, weaving through the gyrating bodies with a confidence that spoke of confrontation. Don't let him mess with your head. Keep dancing. Just focus on us, he encouraged, but Emma felt the tension rising, a choice she needed to wrestle with right there on the dance floor. Ryan approached, a smirk plastered across his face, and there was an unmistakable prickling sensation at the back of her neck. Emma felt torn, caught between the urge to stand her ground or pull Scott into a protective embrace. Can't you take a hint? Ryan shot at her, laughter dancing in his tone, but anger simmering beneath the surface. Before the moment could fester, Emma dug deep for the strength she'd been discovering. I'm done with you, Ryan. This isn't your place anymore. The words rang out, a siren of defiance that pushed past all the doubt. Her heart thundered as she dared to meet his gaze without backing down. Scott's presence was a solid wall beside her, providing support, breathing confidence into her. Emma's eyes flared with resolve, as the space around them seemed to expand, turning a simple dance into a manifesto of her new life. But the crowd thickened, bodies shifting as anticipation built around them. Would Ryan respond with anger, or would this be the final moment of their entanglement? As she prepared for whatever might come next, the music shifted again, this time into a tempo that felt perilous, heavy, and charged with emotion. Would she fight or flee? Would Scott stand with her, or was the moment too big to handle? The reality of the night spiraled, leaving her clinging to her next breath, and she wondered what the unfolding future would promise. Would she find strength in the dance, or would shadows claw their way back into her world? The pulse of the music quickened, and as she faced Ryan, both fear and excitement surged through her. The moment teetered dangerously on the brink, waiting for her to make a move. Emma stood her ground, heart racing like a drumbeat in her ears. The pulsing music blended with the chaos surrounding her, creating a whirlwind of emotion that made her feel simultaneously alive and terrified. Ryan's smirk seemed to twist into something darker, and for a moment, the laughter and light from the club faded, leaving only the two of them in stark relief. "Didn't you think you had it in you, Emma?" he sneered, his voice velvety yet edged with malice. "What happened to the girl who took everything I threw her way?" Her fingers tightened around Scott's hand, drawing strength from him. "That girl is gone. You can't control me anymore." A flicker of surprise crossed Ryan's face, but it quickly morphed back into a playful challenge. "Oh, but I can try. You've always liked a little chaos, haven't you?" Scott stepped forward, his jaw set and eyes blazing with defiance. "You need to leave, Ryan. She doesn't want you here." The crowd around them pulsed and moved, but all Emma could see was the confrontation ahead. Everything felt like it was moving in slow motion. She could feel the eyes of strangers on them, whispers creeping around the floor like a living thing. Would they cheer her on? Or would they judge her for how she was handling this, for standing up to this man who once had all the power over her? "Is that right?" "Let me ask you, Emma," Ryan continued, stepping into her space. The challenge in his eyes had a flicker of the old tyranny, yet beneath it lay a swirling hint of desperation she hadn't expected. "What is your plan, huh? You think this guy can save you?" Emma opened her mouth to retort, but her voice caught in her throat. It was the very question that had haunted her for weeks. Could Scott really be her saving grace? Could she lean on anyone at all after everything Ryan had put her through? "Don't listen to him," Scott urged, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You're stronger than you think. We're stronger together." The warmth of his words wrapped around her, solid and reassuring. His presence anchored her, grounding her in the storm. She glanced at Scott, his eyes filled with empathy, determination. Somehow that gave her the courage to respond. "I'm not defined by my past," Emma said firmly, shaking off the remnants of doubt. "This is my life now, and I'm choosing to be happy. You don't get a say in that." Ryan's eyes darkened, a storm brewing behind them. "You think this little dance will change that? You're still the same girl, Emma. You can't shake me off that easily." The music rose again, and for a fleeting moment, Emma felt the energy around her shift. It was exhilarating, drawing her into its tide. This wasn't just about standing against Ryan. It was about stepping fully into herself, reclaiming the narrative of her life. "Maybe not," she conceded, her heart hammering. "But I'm done letting you write my story." The moment hung heavy in the air, both powerful and fragile. Emma could see the anger in Ryan's eyes simmering to the surface. The crowd gasped and murmurs rippled through it as the confrontation reached a breaking point. Without thinking, she took Scott's hand, grounding herself in his steadiness. She faced Ryan with newfound clarity, a feeling of liberation mixing with adrenaline. Then the sheer weight of the night crashed back down, pulling her back into fear. What if Ryan lashed out? In the midst of the chaotic club atmosphere, would scuffles break out? Just then, a deeper bassline echoed through the speakers, and Emma felt the world around them pulse in perfect synchrony with her heart. She took a deep breath, channeling the certainty building inside her. "You don't get to control how this ends, Ryan. I'm taking my life back." But just as she felt her words settle like an announcement of her own power, Ryan's face turned a shade darker. "We'll see about that, Emma. Emma's heart pounded, the threat hanging in the air like a charged wire. She glanced at Scott, searching for reassurance. Would Ryan make a move? Would this night end in chaos or clarity? The question loomed as the music surged, pulling her back into the pulse of the moment. She steadied herself, breathing in the vibrant atmosphere, uncertain of what lay ahead. Would she emerge victorious, or would the shadows of her past drag her back down? As the music climbed to a crescendo, Emma braced herself, ready to face whatever came next. But she could feel the tension rising, and her gut twisted something was bound to happen. Would Scott stand by her side, or was Ryan about to unleash something she couldn't foresee? The night, heavy with possibility, crackled with suspense, waiting for the next move to unfold. Before Emma could truly process her next move, Ryan lunged forward, closing the distance between them in an instant. The crowd around them seemed to hold its breath. "Control you?" He laughed, a sound that rang hollow against the thumping bass of the music. "You've always been a puppet dancing on strings. Don't pretend this moment means anything." Scott immediately stepped in, standing tall and firm between them. The tension in the air became tangible, thick and electric. "Back off, Ryan. You're not going to intimidate her anymore." Emma felt a fire ignite within her, pressed against the surge of uncertainty. The whispers of the crowd transformed from judgment to escalating support as they rallied behind Scott. She stood taller, her determination growing, but doubt still crept in like an unwelcome visitor. What was she really capable of? "Is that all you have?" Emma demanded, her voice steady but daring. "You think I'll cower back into your shadow because you say so? I'm done being afraid." Ryan's expression shifted, unease flashing across his face, but just as quick, it turned into a twisted grin. "You think this is about fear? Maybe it's about knowing who really owns this place, not you," Scott interrupted, his voice resolute. "Emma owns her life. She owns this moment. This place just became uncharted territory for all of us." The crowd echoed in agreement, a wave of excitement sweeping through them. Emma noticed a few heads nodding, encouragement sparking in their eyes. Their energy fueled her resolve. "Leave now," she said, feeling every ounce of that power flow through her. It felt exhilarating and terrifying all at once, saying the words that weighed her down for so long, and letting them go felt like standing on the edge of a cliff. Ryan took a step back, as if struck by her words. He looked around, noticing the shifting crowd, the growing defiance. But his arrogance bubbled back to the surface almost instantaneously. "You think a little noise will scare me away? You're forgetting the damage I can do, Emma." Challenge accepted, she shot back, her heart racing with a mix of thrill and apprehension. As much as she was ready to stand her ground, there was still fear. Yet, Scott held her hand tighter, as though pouring strength into her. Another pulse of the music sent a shiver through the room, echoing the heartbeat in Emma's chest. This wasn't just a battle with Ryan, it was a confrontation with herself, her fears, and everything she had overcome. With resolve, she leaned into Scott's warmth, gathering her courage. "You can threaten me, but I'm still standing here. I'm moving forward with or without you." Ryan hesitated, his confidence waning under the intensity of her words. There was a moment when he looked unsure, a flicker of the old power he'd held over her dimming. But then his pride flared. "Fine. Enjoy your little moment of glory. I'll be waiting when you're ready to crawl back." With that, he turned, people parting to let him pass, the sound of the crowd shifting like leaves in the wind. Emma let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding, her heart still racing. The energy in the club surged like a wave of liberation, people breaking out into laughter and cheers. Someone nearby exclaimed, "That was amazing!" But amid the cheers, Emma felt a heaviness return. The backlash from Ryan felt inevitable. Had she really shone a spotlight on herself, or had she just provoked a beast that would come back for more? Scott pulled her close, his presence a fortress against any lingering fear. "You did it, Emma. You stood up for yourself." "I did, but what now?" Emma whispered, her heart caught between victory and uncertainty. Now we make sure he knows we're not afraid. Together." Just then, The weight of her own words hit joy wrapped around hope, but the darkness wasn't over. As powerful as this moment felt, could she trust that Ryan would truly back down? Would he come at her again? The music pulsed louder around them, but Emma's heart slowed, caught in the maelstrom of what lay ahead. She knew the night had changed her, but the question lingered: would she be strong enough to face whatever Ryan had planned next? As the last echoes of the music played out into the night, Emma gazed into Scott's eyes, both comforted and anxious. The battle was far from over, but it had only just begun. Emma felt the humming energy of the crowd lifting her spirits, but doubts still lingered. Ryan's parting threat weighed heavy on her heart. What would he do? As the night unfolded, vibrant laughter and cheers filled the air, but Emma could feel something darker lingering beneath the surface. Yet Scott's hand in hers sparked a determination that was impossible to ignore. "Let us get some air," he suggested, and she nodded, grateful for his strength. Once outside, the cool breeze brushed against her skin, refreshing and sweet. "You were amazing in there," Scott said, searching her eyes. "You showed him you're not afraid." "I'm not sure I can keep it up," Emma admitted, her voice catching slightly. The weight of her past loomed behind her, heavy and haunting. What if he comes back? Scott stepped closer, grounding her with his steady gaze. "You showed who you are tonight. You won't let anyone define you again." It was a lifeline, and she clung to his words. "I want to believe that," she replied, her voice trembling with emotion. But Ryan might just be the beginning. He reached for her hand, enveloping it in warmth. "Yes, but you're not alone in this. I'm here, Emma. I'm not going anywhere." His words washed over her like the sun breaking through clouds, invigorating and bright. As they stood there, the stars glimmered overhead, offering their own silent kind of support. Emma thought about this moment. The fear that had paralyzed her for so long was being replaced by a sense of empowerment. "Maybe I can do this," she whispered, glancing at Scott, who looked as if he believed every word he said. "You can do this," he reassured her. "Let us go back in and have some fun." It felt like a challenge, one she was fully prepared to take on. The music beckoned them back inside, and with each step, she felt lighter. The dance floor had transformed. Bodies moved together in wild celebration, laughter echoed through the vibrant space, and for the first time, something inside Emma flickered with genuine joy. Scott pulled her into a twirl, and she laughed, letting the music guide her. The crowd around them moved in a rhythm, and Emma lost herself in it, spinning away the remnants of fear. Slowly she began to feel like she was shedding not just the weight of her past, but also the doubt that had held her back. As the night spun on, she realized that she could rewrite her narrative. Moments of laughter intertwined with the growing chemistry between her and Scott. He was different from anyone she ever knew. "Let us go outside again," he shouted over the music, his excitement contagious. Emma nodded, and they slipped out into the cool night once more, the weight of the world momentarily lifting. "Tonight has been incredible, hasn't it?" Emma said breathlessly, the air crisp against her skin. Scott beamed. "It's only getting started." Just then, the sudden laughter of a group caught their attention, and turned out to be Ryan's friends hovering nearby, their prying eyes locked onto Emma and Scott. "Looks like the puppeteer wants to pull some more strings," Scott said, the protective edge in his voice sending a shiver of reassurance down Emma's spine. "Let him try," Emma replied, a fierce defiance blooming in her heart. She remembered the strength she had discovered in herself. Ryan approached them, his confidence oozing. "Well, looks like you've still got someone to hide behind, Emma." "Actually, he has someone I want beside me," she shot back, spurred on by the confidence she had found. Ryan's expression shifted, a mix of anger and disbelief. "You'll regret this," he said quietly, the venom in his tone cutting through the air. "No, I want tea. I'm ready for my life, Ryan. It's not about you anymore." Behind her, she felt Scott's reassuring presence. "You don't own Emma, Ryan. Her future is hers to choose." The tension crackled like a spark, but Emma stood unyielding, her heart racing with a mix of defiance and hope. The clarity of the moment settled around her. She wasn't going back into the shadows anymore. The past may have shaped her, but it would not dictate her future. Enjoy your moment. While it lasts, Emma. With that, Ryan stepped back, the defeat hanging heavy in the air, and his friends shuffled behind him like shadows retreating into the night. Emma turned to Scott, breathless. Do you think he'll really leave me alone? He knows he can't control you anymore, Scott said, a smile tugging at his lips. You're strong, and you'll keep getting stronger. As they stepped back into the lively chaos of the club, Emma felt a wave of hope washing over her. She was ready for this new chapter, ready to embrace the life she wanted not just for herself, but for the future she was beginning to see brightly ahead. Let us dance, Scott, she laughed, the exhilarating energy flooding back. The weight of the past was a distant echo now, and she twirled into the thrumming joy of the moment. Scott followed her lead, and together, they moved into a bright horizon. This was her moment. This was her choice. And she felt the thrill of possibility fill her heart, radiant and undeniably alive. And tomorrow? Tomorrow would be whatever she decided, free from old strings, ready to be written anew. If you're inspired by Emma's journey of transformation, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support and not miss the next exclusive stories. Drop a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this channel thriving for amazing content. And don't forget to comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Let us spread the story of strength and hope together.